Welcome to The Curiosity Solution. I'm your host, Beverly Biehl. Join us as we explore the science of curiosity, share stories of people who've used curiosity to improve their lives, and maybe inspire some aha moments along the way. Welcome to The Curiosity Solution, to the first interview series of our 2026 season. I am so excited because I not have just one, but two amazing guests today. Kathy Biehl and Donna Woodwell and I have worked together briefly, and Kathy and I a little bit more so than Donna. And if you'll notice, for the astute observer out there, Kathy's last name is the same spelling as mine, and yet we don't think we're related anywhere along the way, which, darn, I'd love to say you're my cousin, Kathy, but anyway, let's just jump right into it. Both Kathy and Donna are amazing astrologers. And one of the things that I was excited to talk to them about is this workshop, this program, this protocol, really, about how they help people really hone in on what is their soul calling, what is their desired, not really the outcome, but just how are they taking all this information in around astrology and then really making it practical. That's one of the things that I've found incredibly helpful with the way that both Kathy and Donna do their work. So let's just jump right into it. Kathy, let's start with you. How did you become an astrologer? You've got, I know, quite the following on online, but I know you didn't start out that way. Most people don't start out like that. So let's just have a little discussion.
Well, it's something that's been an interest for a long, long time, but it didn't occur to me that I might actually spend a lot of time or with it or making money with it. I actually had two complete self-reinvention times. I started out, well, actually multiple. I started out as a journalist, and then in college I threw that out, and yeah, you too. And then I decided, okay, no, I'll study German. I'll go off and become a German professor. And I spent a summer in Austria with a family that picked my German apart so badly that I lost my confidence, which is 90%. Of speaking the language. And I was fluent when I showed up and a mess when I left. So then I started thinking, what else can I do? And I gravitated to law pretty much out of panic for a whole bunch of reasons. And I studied law and realized, it was intellectual acrobatics. And I was practicing law at a firm and very, very unhappy and very ill, always a sign, very physically ill. And then I got fired, and suddenly it was, well, I've been free. What else can I do? And I went to astrology school and started a freelance writing career, and just took law for a while. And this is gradually, the percentages have tilted over the years. And now I'm no longer practicing any law at all, but it does ground, it serves a purpose. It grounds what I do. And it's also made it so that I am not a woo-woo astrologer. I say mine is astrology you can use, and I always look at it in terms of, what does this mean for your life? What do you do with it? How do you work with it? So how's that?
I love it. I love it. The thing that I was picking up there is, so as a journalism major, who also took German as my language in college, the thing that, and wanted to be pre-law until I started looking at how much reading I was going to have to do and how much work I was going to have to, how much money I was going to have to borrow to get that degree. It just suddenly became a non-starter. But logic is, form, structure, it all kind of goes in the same way. That's why I think I was drawn to feng shui. Because I liked the logic behind a lot of it, and still houses a lot of intuition. But I think the best lawyers are those who use their intuition to know where to look. So Donna, how about you? What was the path that greased the skids for you to slide into astrology?
A remarkably similar story to Kathy's, in the sense that I also went to journalism school. I was bound and determined to be a foreign correspondent. I studied German first, but then I realized that after a summer in Germany, that could not speak German and gave up and switched to Spanish. So I got my master's degrees in Latin American studies and journalism in order to become a foreign correspondent. But several things happened. One, the internet was growing and foreign correspondents were going to become a thing of the past. And then I also got really sick when I was in graduate school. So I switched my path and ended up working in nonprofits so that at least I could fulfill that itch that I didn't quite have as being a journalist. You write about stories, but nothing changes. And at least in nonprofits, I could use all those same communication skills to actually make a difference in the world. And then I did that for 6 years or so. And when I was very, very unsatisfied with my situation, they didn't fire me, I fired them. But I found myself like, okay, what should I do now? And I had been studying all kinds of the woo on the side and working with a woman who had lived on a Native American reservation, had practiced shamanism. I had learned all kinds of things on top of that, astrology and feng shui, and you name it. If it was in the New Age bookstore, I had a book on it, and I had read them. When I didn't have, a full-time job, my friends started asking me, hey, would you read my chart now that you're not like doing anything? And I said, sure. And, after about 6 months of that, I was like, why am I not charging for this? And a new profession was born. Does anyone grow up thinking that they're going to be a professional astrologer when they get old? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Yeah. At least that certainly wasn't part of the career counselor's options when I was looking at things. Certainly not feng shui either. So, I think it's so fascinating though, that we all have a journalism background. We all have flirted with trying to become fluent in German, and we've all flirted. Well, I mean, sorry, Kathy, you did a lot more than flirting with the whole law thing. Yeah. But the thing that again stands out for me is, and kind of coming back to this workshop that you have coming up, the writing your 2026 story, this whole journaling concept. Is this something that you guys have done in the past together, or is this an inaugural event?
This is what, the 5th annual?
I forget how long.
I think it's the 5th, maybe the 6th. It's been a while. I have a folder with at least 4 previous versions, and I think there were 2 versions before that. So this is probably the 6th.
Wow. Okay. So do you have a lot of repeat clients who come back for this?
Yes, absolutely. Here's the philosophy behind this workshop. Anybody who listens to a lot of astrology knows that at the beginning of every year, astrologers get together and they give their forecast for the year. But that forecast is always a big picture overview of what's happening for everybody. But every person's tuned a little differently, just like in feng shui, where you have like a bagua that you can put on. But if you want to see how someone's personal energy fits into the space, you have to do a little bit more digging with their birth information. Same thing with astrology. So a lot of people don't want to hire an astrologer for a full up reading because, astrologers can be expensive. So we designed totally worth it. I'm not saying you shouldn't hire an astrologer. But we designed a workbook to go with the course so that you take the workshop, get the overview of the year, but then there is a 70-page workbook that you can work through by yourself to help figure out how what we talk about is applicable to just you. And it shows you how to make intentions and forecasts and things for how you will resonate with the year. So it's like a supplement to your own journey for the year. Hence, write your own 2026 story.
That is a lot different than what I see online. There's a lot of do it for you rather than do it with you. And it sounds like by your techniques, but what you guys have perfected over the years is not just helping people, get an idea of the overall piece, but also so that they can understand astrology a little bit more. Because is that correct? Would that be a good way of explaining it?
Yeah. Oh, we both have an educational streak in the way we approach things. I mean, Donna has a full-blown school, and I have I'm professorial in how I do everything. So, you know, I see it as passing information on in a way that someone's going to be able to assimilate it and then apply to their life and then understand a little more. I do that in my forecasts too. So people listening to it don't just have stuff going through their head, but they go, wait. I think this affects me. And they start learning things.
Oh, so you're the sneaky backdoor educator.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. Well, I can say as someone who is part of your Patreon group, I really appreciate your approach to astrology. And but Donna, so Kathy just mentioned something about a school. Talk about curiosity. I mean, that's what school's all about, is exploring. Tell me more about this school.
Oh, well, since I can't ever limit myself to one topic, I assume everyone else is exactly the same. So I decided, for long and boring reasons, that the best way for me to be able to organize all of the information that I have learned from my shamanic teachers and my hermetic teachers and everyone else in my life was to put it all together in a format that was the backbone of a school. So I made, 104 weeks of course material, organized in 8 13-week classes that are the bedrock of learning a hermetic magical tradition, but one that's not all about you have to do it this way. It gives people, a chance to try out 8 different divination techniques for themselves so they can figure out which one works for them, or try out a whole bunch of different shamanic techniques, or learn astrology. And here's all the different ways you could learn, so that people could, since finding a teacher like I was very lucky. I found 2 amazing women to sit down with me for years, but that's not something everybody can get. But we live in the age of the internet. So I put it all online so that people could come and not only go through the program, but have a community of people to share the journey with. Because, just like anything you want to do in your life, if you want to change, you have to surround yourself by your tribe. So I hold space for the tribe as well.
Wow. I like that approach because you're right. There's so many different ways of looking at metaphysics, looking at, what is the intangible, the wind energy that, is in feng shui, that, you can't see it, but you sure can feel it. That's a really good, because everybody learns differently. So it sounds to me like it is the tasting board, the charcuterie board, if you will, for metaphysics. What is it that you like? Ooh, I really like this cheese. Oh yeah, no, we're not doing that other one over here. So would that be kind of an example, an idea?
Yes, in the sense that I am a devoted pluralist, and I think every point of view has something to offer.
Okay, what word you used? You're a devoted what?
Pluralist. I like all the things, because you talk about curiosity. I hear Mercury. That is my planet. That is my value above all others. If you use those positive psychology value trees, curiosity is like way up here and everything else is down here. For me, I cannot stand not knowing. I cannot stand not understanding. I get physically agitated when I can't figure something out. So I love being able to explore all of these different things. But on the flip side, just because they're all of these different things, they don't all necessarily work. And for some, it's just they don't work because of temperament. They don't work because it's just not your cup of tea. That's one thing. But sometimes they don't work because they broke in. They're not a good idea. And that's the part that I like about having a school, is that we can talk through the difference between a diversity of ideas that can give us powerful directions, tools to work with, but also separate them out from the noise or the superstition or whatever you want to call it, the ideas which aren't going to serve people well. And you can only do that in a dialogue. You need sounding boards to create that kind of space in yourself to figure out what works for you and how you want to relate to it without, cutting down people's freedom to decide.
So we're going to kind of shift gears a tiny bit here because, you talked about, Mercury and, being curiosity and really, how that is kind of innate in your chart. When I can just say that for me, when I was little, at least before I was old enough to drive a tractor, which was about age 8, I was allowed to go to the library and pick out any book I wanted. As I would max out the number of books and I would read incessantly. And it didn't matter what it was. I just, if I could get my hands on it, we still had the dictionaries, the atlases at home, and I would be in there for hours, just poring over everything. So for the first 8 to 9 years of my life, curiosity was absolutely supported. But then it's like, okay, time to work. You got to go. If you've got time to lean, you got time to clean, kind of an attitude. How was it for you guys? Was curiosity something that was fostered, or did you have to reclaim it as you got older?
It was fostered in my household. The most frequent or the most copious Christmas gift was always books. For some reason, my mother ordered from Blackwell's in Oxford. And when I finally went there as an adult, I felt like I should fall on my knees, like, this place is real. I don't know why she ordered from there. But we would go to going to the library was a regular summer event, and I would come out with a huge stack of books. And this was roundly encouraged until I was in junior high, and I checked out everything you've always wanted to know about sex but were afraid to ask. And my mother was not pleased. She also wasn't going to talk to me about it, but she was not pleased. Like, all right, curious, but only in as far as I want you to be curious. I will say, though, this was also fostered when my family lived in Germany. When I was a very early teenager, I ended up being the navigator. I would research things like crazy. I would be the one that would plow through and speak languages. I spoke Latin in Italy. I was taking Latin and German in my German school, and got us through that way. And then there was this one big event in a fishing village in Greece when I really, really liked the music playing in the restaurant. The waiter was the brother of someone who played in the San Antonio Symphony, and he had a fair command of English. But we stayed longer than we told him he would be there, so he was not working our final night there. And my parents made me a deal. If I could get the waiter to write down the name of the record, I could go across the street and buy it. And it took a long time, but I did it.
Oh, that's great.
And when I got across the street, I was so proud of myself as a little 13-year-old conducting this business in this country where nobody I was related to could speak the language. I had a German Greek book. And when I got back to Munich, the record had changed in the amount of time it took, and it was not the one I thought I was buying. I like it because it has this whole history. If I live for the story. If it's got a great story, then I'm fine with it. This one has a great story.
That is a great story. Wow, that I learned something new about you. That is fascinating. How about you, Donna? I mean, did you have a similar experience, or again, did you have to reclaim your curiosity?
No, more or less. Both of my parents are teachers in one form or another. And when my mom retired from teaching, she sold encyclopedias, which in the context of this conversation is now kind of funny. I never thought about it before. So I wouldn't say that curiosity was encouraged, but it was never discouraged. And I left for boarding school when I was 15 on the other side of the continent. And I never came back because there was always something else to do. And I think if you want to be a journalist, you have a curiosity streak that you cannot deny, or you wouldn't have gone to journalism school in the first place. As for limiting it, I agree with Kathy. There's the thing that anyone who goes to school and has to write a thesis, at some point in time, you have to stop researching and you have to write the dang thing. or you will never get out of school. And that's the limit we always face. If you're going to produce, at some point, you have to switch from consuming information to editing the information to packaging and providing the information. And that's just having to live in our three-dimensional time-bound world. And I think we all struggle with that in one way or the other. But the whole line of Gemini, Sagittarius, they're opposites of each other in astrology speak. All that is where curiosity lives in a chart. Mercury for the verbal side of it and the talky side of it and the wanting to read and research and stuff side of it. Sagittarius for the more side of it. And you put them two together and you get someone who goes in and, has fantasies about plugging themselves into like the internet. So all of a sudden they know all the information just at their fingertips and weave it into their own stories.
Well, we've got Elon doing the research on doing just that here. If you want to go be one of their test subjects, I don't recommend it, but
that was more of a metaphor than a with a chip, because the first thing I think of, well, what happens if the chip blue screens and then you're just going to sit there and stare at a wall or something? Well,
there was a whole Black Mirror episode
under
about
those circumstances.
Yeah, no, thank you. Okay. Wow. So that is, I love that your mom was an encyclopedia saleswoman. I inhaled encyclopedias. Kathy, you simply became a walking encyclopedia.
But I loved the World Book. I had the job. I don't know if you remember the World Book Encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Every year there would be stickers that would come. That there would be the yearbook, and then you would go into the actual World Book and you would stick a little sticker where there was information in a yearbook. This was my job. I loved it. Oh, sticker, put it here.
That's what my mom sold was World Books.
World Books.
Gosh. See, and I think our kids got robbed in many ways with not being able to do that, because it did really foster such an enjoyment and opening things up. Although now I look back and think, okay, well, now who's writing those books? All right, well, then let me kind of just go back again, because one of the things I always like to ask people on this podcast is, now that we kind of know how curiosity was treated when you were young, how do you decide now what, when you're still in the information gathering phase or looking at something new? How do you know where that curiosity, what's the yes? Is it, is it a tingle in your body? Is it just a knowing? Is it, some people are, because they're clairaudient, they'll like hear the sound, the siren song. Talk to me about how that shows up for you. How does curiosity show up in your body? And how do you know when you need to research more and when do you need to stop and do? Ooh, did I stump you guys?
I'm giving Donna a chance to answer. She doesn't have one. I do. I have one.
You can
I
answer
will find it's almost like a physical energy, like, I gotta know this. It used to be I would make a realization about something, often involving astrology, and then I would go crazy figuring out. I've done this with charting the Doctor Who actors' charts and doing stuff with Star Trek. And there was an Easter egg, an astrological Easter egg in the end season of Better Call Saul. Oh, I tried to sell that one. I was just consumed. So sometimes I'll just get consumed with, I must know this, I must research it. And other times it's just simply fun. Like if I stumble upon some roadside attraction, information about something that looks really intriguing. I used to write about that kind of stuff, mimetic architecture, things that look like objects, or quirky restaurants, strange food, recipes, that sort of thing. It's an energy. I don't think I can limit it to or identify it in terms of a spot on my body. It's more like a state of being of must follow this. Yunk.
Well, and I think because it is almost this full body experience for you, Kathy, that obviously to me shows that you're very much tuned in to the overall field that it is just you, and so therefore it sounds like it's almost a whole full body tractor beam
Yep.
taking you forward.
Mhm.
How
I was
about you,
gonna say
Donna?
an itch, but I was trying to think back to this morning because it's like an ever-present itch for me. And I have to like consciously no, that's not important because otherwise I'm typing in, why are red delicious apples not delicious? And then
Because
getting
they were bred to look pretty and transport well.
exactly. And thank you to the people in Iowa, you know, several generations ago who found that little plant. And no thanks to all of the people who did all of that inbreeding over the years to give us mushy apples. But anyway, I had to know because I was clearly supposed to be doing something else at that moment in time. And that was not nearly as important as my need to understand why red delicious apples were mushy. So some of it is an itch. Some of it's necessary given what we do for a living. You know, I do need to understand where things come from, maybe not that one in particular, but if it relates to the backstory of how did Western magic end up the way it is, I'm going to not only learn it, I'm going to remember it because I use it all the time.
Mhm.
Kathy, if I have questions about what's going on in the world of politics, I will call Kathy because she will have a better sense of that than anyone else that I know. And I know people too. So I am bow to the superior font of knowledge on this topic. So some of it's that we are curious about the things that fit into the world that we're operating in. Some of it's, you know, the need to be curious about the things outside of our worldview so that we can burst through our own little barriers and find those cracks so we can learn to get past whatever paradigm we've created for ourselves. And some of it's when we want to know things because we're avoiding doing something else. Because surely that Apple question was not necessary for my morning. What I was supposed to be doing was formatting files, which, you know, for someone who's driven by curiosity is perhaps not their favorite thing to do. So I think it's a balancing act that we just have to learn how to live with, just like we have to learn to live with the weather. Things come and they go. Some are relevant and some are not. And part of our process is learning where to put our attention.
And attention is sometimes in very short supply. I know as I've gotten older, I still have never been officially diagnosed with ADHD, but I know I have some levels of it because it is, you know, I can get hyper focused on certain things, and then other times I am just this squirrel. Let's go check out something other interesting. You know, like why are red delicious apples not delicious? Uh, I could totally see myself going down that same rabbit hole. But I actually look at that focus, at that attention, is the gift of, well, how is this information going to benefit me down the road? A lot of times I don't know, but almost every time I have gone down a certain rabbit hole, I will have come up with some kind of nugget that will be, you know, added to my little bag of tricks. I sometimes feel like Hermione and that purse, that, you know, the never ending purse. What is it called again? You'll know. What is it? What is that? What is her bag called?
In D&D land or just on the
No,
television?
that's a Harry Potter. It's a Harry Potter reference, and so she just has this satchel that
Yeah.
it contains multitudes. It's the TARDIS of handbags.
Yeah, they call it a bag of holding in the Dungeons and Dragons world. I don't know what they
Okay.
call it in the Harry Potter world, but I'm pretty sure she probably stole it from the Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm sure she probably stole a lot of ideas, repurposed, because again, she still had her own take on certain things. But again, a lot of those ideas are consistent in just the life of humans. So, you know, but again, coming back to your, you know, the way that you're discussing this, you know, I kind of come back to your workshop, because even if people sign up today when this podcast is airing on you know, Wednesday, January 7th, the evening is when the live version is going on. So if people catch this right away, they can sign up. Can they still have access to this workshop if they don't catch it right away?
Yes, it's all recorded.
Okay.
So We have a special course portal where they have videos are up now. We have the workbook and the original training. So kind of like an overview of the course, are waiting for whenever people sign up. The live recording will go up on the evening of the 7th, as you said. And then 2 weeks later, we have a second live recording. So a follow-up for people who've done their workbook and want some feedback or have questions. We have another live discussion. So any way you want to sign up, it will all be there in the course portal. There's a place for people to be able to talk to each other in the class, just to make it a little more of a community feel. So we try to cover all the bases for people who like doing it in written format, for people who like having the video and doing the audio format. We have an audio only version. All the versions are covered. And if you want to be social about it, we can do that too.
You know, I love that you're doing it at the very beginning of the, in Feng Shui, it is the yin earth. Is that right? The yin earth goat. Yeah, ox. Or yin earth ox. Okay, you know, I should know these things off the top of my head. It is also the last month of the Chinese New Year. So it's the very, very tail end of the snake year. And before we go into the fire horse year. And that was one of the things that I was very excited about to be a part of this, because I'll be there. You'll be seeing me. The last bits of this snake year are really requiring us to take a hard look at what is left over for us to shed. You know, I think of like, I know this sounds gross, but you know, if not too many people these days, but back in the day when you get a sunburn, because we didn't have that great of sunscreen, and the skin would peel off, and there'd always be those last little bits of skin left that just don't want to get off. But those are the ones that are the hardest to get rid of, but the most important, because until you do, your skin isn't fully healed. And so in many ways, I'm looking at this as there's a lot of people who are going through life at this end of this snake year with still little bits of that skin that has not shed yet. And that is this part, those are the parts that will catch on fire when all this fire energy comes in. And nobody needs to have, you know, okay, well, maybe you do need a little fire up the you know, fire behind you to get you going, but most people not so much. We are not sparklers. We shouldn't be. So for me, I'm very excited about that you're doing this process. Let's go ahead and go back though to since you guys obviously did this last year, how much of what you wrote down from last year's workshop actually came to pass? How did your writings from the 2025 workshop show up for you?
Do you mean personally, or do you mean like globally? Because
however you want to answer that, Donna, that is up to you. It can be personally, it can be professionally.
Astrology was on target.
I mean, astrology is always on target.
Right.
It's us and our failure to understand the astrology that's different. So I think globally, last year, I'm always fascinated on the interchange between Chinese astrology, Western astrology, and numerology, because they often overlap. And this year and next year are their turning point. We are ending a whole bunch of cycles all at once in astrology speak and starting a whole bunch of new cycles. But that process is not like here's the date in the calendar and it's done. It's more of a 2-year unfolding that we had a preview of in last year, but we are going into full steam ahead in a few months. That's going to shake up the world in a way that we are not going to come back from. We're going to just go into the new world, the brave new world, for whatever it's going to bring us. So I think Kathy's the best person to talk about how this affects the world stage, because this is what she does in her own podcasts and YouTube channel. So I'll speak for me on a personal level. I am the strangest astrologer in the way that I keep hoping that I'm immune to astrology. personally. It does not apply to me. It applies to other people, but not to me. And I always, always, always fail in this hope because apparently it does apply to me. So I have had some pretty personal difficulties navigating this dissolution that has hit my personal energy straight on. And I am really, really looking forward to getting out of my 9-year, which is a year of endings, and starting into a 1-year, which is a year of new beginnings. And so I'm also going to be like not apologizing every 15 minutes for I'm sorry. This station is experiencing technical difficulties, because that's the way I have felt for, the course of this whole transition. I know I am not alone in this process, but just as you said, when the snake has to shed its skin, when animals and birds and things are molting, they're not happy because their energy is being sucked inward to do this major transition, and it's not ready to go out yet. They're grouchy and sulky, and we have lots of people in the grouchy, sulky space all around us because of what we're moving into. And so I'm looking forward to that. And because I am Sagittarius, hear me be optimistic despite everything. The world is on fire. It's a dumpster fire. And I will be optimistic because, damn it, I will be.
You'll be sitting there with it's fine.
Yes. Yes. The dog in the fire. Me too.
Yes. Yes.
So I see, I think of what was going on. I know astrologically what was going on in July of last year. And I know that it is the foreshadowing, of what is going to ignite. And I cannot tell you what changed in my life then, but I know that basically my entire chart is about to be blown apart. And I just look at it and go, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. So, how I am personally approaching this, there's another way of looking at what's going on now. I am looking at the time from the middle of December 2025 until the Capricorn new moon, 2/3 of the way into January, as building the runway that we're going to go across to finally get out of this wormhole and be shot into wherever it is that we're going, because there's a real increasing concentration of Capricorn energy, which is project manage, break it down into steps, set your goals, clean your foundation up. So it's like we're building the stepping stones, and we may have some idea of where we think we might be going, but I don't know. The day that the first of these bodies moved into Capricorn, my smart ass daily forecast on my Patreon was telling people to go to their wardrobes and get out their big kid pants. And within hours, I got news that I have been braced for about 15 years, and just went, oh no, it's finally here. So there's something really, really huge in my own life I have stuck my head in the sand about that I now have to deal with. And I've actually been so focused on planning and details and cleaning things up and being very, 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 I mean, I've been adulting nonstop. I wake up with project management bullet points in my head. This is not how I normally awaken. And one friend of mine actually said, do you need an exorcism? Because it's so unlike me. So if anybody is listening to this and you realize that lately you have been practical in a way that you've never been practical, you're charting your own, you're setting things up so that you have a solid ground for when the starting gun goes off, because no one's going to be looking when it goes off. Like you won't be able to turn around and go, oh, I should have put this brick here. Nope. Put the bricks where they're going to be now.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, everything you're saying has also been hitting me as well. Of course, I've been finding my double Virgo energy to be highly activated. And it's been good because I've been getting a lot of cleaning done, a lot of purging. which is, there's always more, because once you get through the first layer, it's like, oh, wait, where did that come from? But yeah, so everything you're talking about also is showing up in the Chinese astrology, you know, this yang fire horse. So the yang fire is like the sun, and it illuminates everything. And so all those things that you thought you had shoved away in the corner, nope, spotlight's on that right now. It's time to get it out. And the horse energy, the horse is, again, it's another, it has the yang fire. It has that fire as part of its makeup. It corresponds with the month of June. And, you know, you think about all the traditions that happen in June. That was when, you know, women got, you know, people got married. That's when you'd have your annual bath.
Sweetening day. Yes.
Yeah, all those things. But it's like, okay, we've been planning, and now it's go, go, go. Let's go do it. And it's just a matter of where are you aiming? And so again, I'm going to come back to this workshop, and that what, you know, perfect timing is it to have this, especially right now. The one thing I am also going to point out is, in order to do this type of journaling workshop, in order to do this level of workbook that you have created, I'm really excited to take a look at that. You do have to go introspective. And when you go introspective and you go inside, you have to like take an evaluation of, well, is this what I want, or is this what everybody else thinks I should want? That actually is activating the water energy inside. And because next year is such a heavy, strong fire energy in the feng shui and in the Chinese astrology, getting that introspection is so important, and to be able to keep tuning into that, because otherwise, well, we're going to be peeling again by the end of the year, and it's not going to be from the snake. We will be the snakes, because we will have gotten fried. So, ladies, this has been such a fantastic conversation. I mean, I adore both of you, and to get you both on here at the same time has been such a treat. So,
Thanks,
is there
Beverly.
anything else that you would like to add, as far as, you know, maybe any last little words of wisdom as to what your suggestion would be for those who aren't able to do the workshop but are interested in doing their own internal inventory? What would you suggest for those people, and how to get in touch with their own curiosity to see what they need to do, what their next steps are?
I'm a big fan of just asking questions. I have a live Q&A every single week, and I've had one for 6 years now, because I think that's the door. If you're not comfortable with sitting and feeling what's coming up inside of you, which, let's face it, a lot of people in this modern Western culture are not, because it's not a supported way of being. If you can't get there, you can at least start with your questions, because so much of what we do is programmed into us. We get into the elevator and we turn around and we face the door because that's what everyone else does. Not because we have to, but it's because what everyone else does. And so much of what we do is just because that's the way it does. That just asking questions about even the small things in your life. Why are you doing it this way? Why do you think this? And why, and why, and why, can open up just enough space to consider letting something else in.
I like that. I immediately got the image of everybody tuning into their inner 5-year-old and asking, well, why? That's great.
And I'll take that idea and run with it. And that is this: the previous ground rules of reality, of the way we interact with each other, of the way the world works, seem to have disappeared. Like, we can't even agree on what the ground rules are. How does this benefit you? Well, you get to make up your own. What if you were to look at your life not in terms of what you were told you needed to do, but to say, well, nothing makes sense, so I may as well go do what I want to do. Just a thought. And I don't mean, becoming a goat herd or something, although for some people that might be it. You don't even necessarily need to blow up the contours of your life in any big dramatic way. But if you just give yourself permission on a moment by moment basis, like, well, I don't want to sit at my computer. I'm going to go to a coffee shop. If that's a radical thing for you, follow it, go do what you don't normally do.
Maybe put some fairy highlights in your hair.
I just immediately thought of that, honestly, because it's just bizarre. I have silk hair extensions that are rainbow colored. You can sort of see them. And it's astonishing who notices them. And I can just be in the most absolute ordinary situation and people go, "Oh, your hair. Oh, how'd you do that? Oh, I want it." And so I'm the shill for this business all the time where that gets it done. Denville, New Jersey, Luna Locks. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again so much for this absolutely delightful time. I will make sure that I've got so where is how can people find this workshop? Can you tell me what
I will
the
read it.
URL is?
magicandmastery.com/write my story. magicandmastery.com/write my story.
It will definitely be in the show notes, but I will certainly try to get that out there and plug this even before, because again, I'm very excited about this. I've been trying to like pair up the Chinese astrology and the Western astrology, because while there are a lot of details that go into the Chinese astrology, it's all based on the same stars. And in talking about curiosity, the way that you look at it, you're always getting a few more details from one than you would for the other, and vice versa. And so when you combine it all, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So, all right. Thank you again so much. This is the end of our time, and I am excited for the next phase of this program and the rest of this year. It'll be fun. Thanks again.